Hola y bienvenidos. Yo soy señora Nelson y estoy aquí para ayudarles in your mastery of the Spanish language. So, hit like and subscribe. I don't know why, but it helps. Entonces, por favor, que me ayudes. And today, I want to tell you what, in my opinion, is sumamente importante for you to know after you have been through one semester of Spanish 2 class. So, exiting Spanish 2A, there is 2-ish really important topics grammatically that you need to know. One would be stem changing verbs, and the other would be irregular verbs. Now, stem changing are all of those verbs, and I have a video on it, but they look just like regular verbs except the beginning kind of changes. So you have preferir, pedir, all of these verbs that follow the regular verb rules, but there's a little spelling change. So remember those. I'm sure you've gone over it in Spanish 2A. Do not forget them because those verbs come up all the time and usually when you least expect it. So what do I mean by you have to know them? Of course you learned them. You took a test on them, you passed it, you got an A. Felicidades. Sin embargo, do not forget them. It's not like history class where you learn a date and a person and then you can forget them forever. Spanish is one of those things that you will have always. So stem changing, don't just learn them for the test and forget about them. Yes, you kind of need that red neon light going off every single time you come across one of the stem changing verbs because your brain needs to know, oh, there's something different. Jugar is juego, it's not jugo. I don't juice basketball, I play basketball. Juego el baloncesto. You kind of have to have those brain, oh, this is a stem changing verb whenever you come across them, wherever, whenever. Same thing with irregular verbs. Now, there are a ton of irregular verbs. Entiendo. También en inglés. English has way more, I feel like. I don't know. But verbs such as tener, querer, there are some very, very common verbs in Spanish that are irregular. And you don't just have to know tener for cuántos años tienes, right? You use tener for everything. Use querer all of the time. You need to know all of the irregular verbs. All those verbs, again, you memorized them, you did the verb chart, you took the test, you got an A, awesome. Do not forget any of those verbs. As you go into Spanish 2A, you should know regular verbs, you should know stem changing verbs, and you should know every single irregular verb. Again, those do not disappear, they do not go away. If you have not learned them yet, and or if you learned them and forgot about them, go back, practice before moving on to the next semester. Because as soon as you get into more complicated grammar, I guarantee it's going to be harder to recall the more simplified grammatical concepts that you learned in Spanish 1 beginning to Spanish 2. It's kind of like a sport. You can't do those complicated movements until you've really excelled and mastered the basics. So, regular verbs, irregular verbs, stem changing verbs, make sure you really, really have solidified your mastery of those and then move on to the second semester of Spanish 2. Let me know in the comments other vital concepts that you learned at the beginning of Spanish 2 that you think the world needs to truly master before moving on. And I'll see you guys next week.